So in this question, you had to calculate an angle using the sine rule this time. So the information, got a set of step ladders, and you have got the length of the front of the ladders and the other side of the ladders, and you've also been given one size of the angle, and you're asked to calculate this other angle. Now notice there's no lettering or ABCs or anything onto this triangle essentially that you've got here, so I would recommend that you mark it. It actually doesn't matter where you put your letters. I'm going to put my A, B and then C up at the top. That will allow me to use lowercase letters to name my sides, etc. So this, because it is about calculating an angle, so you learned that when you're calculating an angle, you should flip the sine rule. So that means for this one that we would you'd be writing sine A over side A, sine B over B, and sine C over C. We then want to tick off from the diagram what we know. So we know length A and we know angle A. We know length B and we are trying to work out the angle B. We don't know C, we're not trying to work out anything to do with C, so we're just going to ignore that. So filling in your numbers, that would mean you would have sine 66 over 140 would be equal to your sine, and this is where your x goes for the angle B, and your 150 on the bottom. Now the term that you then need to rearrange or get to it on its own, you want to get sine x on its own, but because it's been divided by 150, we need to multiply by 150, so it will be this, right? So it will be times in by 150 really on both sides is what you're going to be doing. That will allow us to get the sine x on its own, so I'm going to write on the next line that sine x will be equal to my sine 66 over 140 times by the 150. If I do that on the calculator, I'm going to get a value which is going to have loads of decimals, going to be 0.9787, whole load of other digits. Now, do not round at this point here, just leave all that in your calculator. But this time, because it's an angle that we want to be working with, remember when it's an angle, that involves us doing sine to the -1. And on your calculator, what you should be pressing in order to get the sine to the -1 is the shift key followed by the sine key. That will bring up, right, those two keys, one after the other, will bring up the sine to the -1 in the display, and then it will open a bracket. At that point you should press the ANS button, which is next to the equals button, right? And what that does is that saves you typing all this number in again. So we're basically doing sine to the -1 of the 0.9787, and if you do that on the calculator, you'll find it comes up with 78.1807, whole load of digits. This, remember, is an angle, so we would need 78 point rounded to one decimal place is probably accurate enough, and that would be 78.2 degrees.